You're 8 years old, soldiers storm your village. Your family disappears into the chaos. And then, somebody puts a price on your head. 800 dirhams, less than the price of a war horse. That's what you're worth. But here's what nobody knew. This same boy, this slave, would one day face the most terrifying army in human history. An army that had already burned Baghdad to the ground. An army that had never lost, and he would defeat them. His name was Baybars, and this is the story of how a child sold into slavery became the single most important figure in saving the Islamic world from total annihilation. But before we get to his rise, you need to understand what was coming. Because in 1258, the Mongols did something the world had never seen before. They destroyed Baghdad. Not just conquered it, destroyed it. The greatest city on earth, gone in days. And after Baghdad fell, nothing stood between the Mongols and the rest of the Islamic world. Nothing, except one man. We go back to around 1223 AD. The Western Eurasian steppe, today's southern Russia and Kazakhstan, vast, windswept, a land of nomadic tribes who lived on horseback and died by the sword. Baybars was born into the Kipchak Turks, a proud warrior people, and for the first years of his life, that's all he knew. Horses, open skies, freedom. Then the Mongols came. They didn't just conquer the Kipchaks, they shattered them. Entire communities broken apart, displaced, enslaved. The slave markets of Central Asia flooded overnight with Kipchak men, women, and children. Baybars was one of them. Now, the slave trade in the medieval Islamic world had a very specific category that most people don't know about. They were called Mamluks. Mamluk means one who is owned. But these weren't field laborers. These were military slaves, purchased specifically for their physical ability. The logic was brutal, but effective. A slave soldier has no family loyalty, no tribal agenda. He owes everything to his master. And this system would accidentally create the most dangerous soldiers in the medieval world, the only army in the world capable of defeating the Mongols. Baybars was bought, trained, and forged into something extraordinary. There's even a story that his first buyer returned him. That rejection may have been the most important mistake in medieval history. Baybars ended up in Egypt, in the service of the Ayyubid Sultan, the dynasty built by the legendary Saladin. And in Egypt, he didn't just train, he dominated. By his mid-20s, he had risen through the Mamluk ranks to become a commander, not by birthright, simply because he was exceptional at war. In 1250, he got his first major test, the Seventh Crusade. King Louis IX of France launched a massive assault on Egypt. They looked unstoppable. Then they met Baybars. He led the Mamluk cavalry at the Battle of Al-Mansura. The Crusaders charged into narrow city streets, a trap. The Mamluks cut them apart from every direction. King Louis IX himself, captured. One of the most humiliating defeats in Crusader history, and a former slave was the one who delivered it. But victory created a power vacuum. The Ayyubid Sultan died during the campaign. Egypt fell into chaos. The Mamluks decided they were done being servants. They staged a coup, took control. Egypt was now a Mamluk state, and Baybars, rising, powerful, ambitious. But the real test was still coming, and it was coming from the east, like a storm that had already swallowed the world. Let's talk about the Mongols in the 1250s. Feel the scale of this threat. By this point, the Mongol Empire was the largest contiguous empire in human history. China, conquered. Persia, conquered. Russia, conquered. Total destruction. And in 1258, Hulagu Khan arrived at the gates of Baghdad. Baghdad, the jewel of the Islamic world, home to the greatest libraries in existence. The caliph was executed, wrapped in carpets, and trampled by horses. The Mongols believed royal blood must never touch the earth, so they honored that belief while ending his life. Then the killing began. Historians estimate between 90,000 and 1 million people died in the sack of Baghdad. The Golden Age ended that week. Survivors said the Tigris ran black with ink from the destroyed books, and then red with blood. The Islamic Golden Age ended that week. The Mongols pushed west. Aleppo fell. Damascus fell. The entire Islamic world was collapsing like a line of dominoes. Everyone assumed Egypt was next. Then the letter arrived. Hulagu Khan sent a message. You cannot defeat us. Surrender, or be destroyed like everyone else. War was inevitable. Kutus executed the messengers, sent their heads back on spikes. War was inevitable. September 3rd, 1260, a valley in Palestine, Ain Jalut, the spring of Goliath. The same ground where David killed Goliath. And today, another underdog was about to make history. The Mamluk army marches out. Baybars commands the vanguard. The Mongol cavalry appears on the horizon. Baybars advances. The Mongols charge. Baybars retreats. The Mongols follow. Deeper, deeper, deeper into the valley. For the first time, the Mongols realized they had been outplayed. And then, the hills explode. The main Mamluk force erupts from both sides simultaneously, thousands of horsemen, screaming, charging, surrounded. The fighting was desperate. The Mongol forces almost split the Mamluk army in two. Qutuz tore off his helmet, screamed, "O Islam!" and personally charged. The Mamluks steadied, the Mongols broke. Their commander Kitbuka, captured, executed. For the first time in history, a Mongol army had been defeated. A Mongol army had been defeated in open battle and did not come back. Read that again. The Mamluks were different, and Baybars was the reason why. Now here's where the story gets dark. After Ain Jalut, Baybars killed Qutuz. He rode up to the Sultan, extended his hand, and stabbed him. New Sultan. He never looked back. Over the next 17 years, Baybars built an empire, postal systems, trade, mosques. He rebuilt hope, relentless. Crusader fortress after fortress fell. Antioch, a stronghold that had stood for 170 years, taken in 3 days. He beat the Mongols again and again. A man who was once property, outmaneuvering two of history's greatest military forces at the same time. This is the thesis of his life. Baybars died in 1277, accidentally drank poisoned kumis meant for someone else, around 54 years old, a poetic end for a man who outlived destruction. But stop. Think about what almost happened. If the Mongols had taken Egypt, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, the faith, all of it, one battle, one man. The one empire the Mongols never conquered was ruled by a slave, and they never again advanced into the heart of the Islamic world. Baybars, a boy sold for 800 dirhams who became the shield of a civilization. Sometimes, the people history tries to throw away are the ones who end up saving it.